Remember that guy Jason Nassr who did the documentary for my life and sold the overpriced DVD? Well, here's the whole story of what's happening and some current news about how he was arrested and charged with sexual assault in his hometown of Windsor on a young woman that he seemed to have misled that he met on Facebook. Well, I never met this guy before YouTube. I didn't know him from a hole in the ground. All I knew was that when he contacted me and asked to get maybe some sort of recognition on my channel to help pick up his channel, I noticed he was a very good editor. And then he asked me if he could use my farm for shooting a couple scenes, and I allowed him to do that for free. And I thought he was, I thought he was a cool guy and seemed to know his stuff really well, and he claims to be self-taught, and I thought he was quite a good editor for being self-taught, since I'm not a good editor. I just use Windows Media Maker. So anyways, forget how it all happened, but we finally got the idea in a restaurant about the documentary on my life, and I said, well, my life was so interesting, how in the hell could you make a 2-hour video or something about it? It would take a multi-series documentary. So anyways, it was a juicy story. At the time, was the #1 YouTuber in Canada, highest income YouTuber in Canadian history, and I had a lofty goal. I wanted to become #1, and I wanted to find my children, at least let them know I was looking for them. And he liked that story because it, even though I have a dirty past, it had a hopeful future, and that's where it all led from there. And as you noticed, the big fiasco last winter when I was off YouTube, how he turned all that around to bite me in the ass, and it looked like he was trying to destroy me. Well, he was, and I'll explain that story. It's my personal opinion, now that I've been through all this bullshit with Jason, that he's a con man. I started to see through things early on because people started sending me messages to check out this or check out that on the internet, and it was links to Better Business Bureau, landlords, people who have dealt with him in his wedding video industry, and they all claimed that he was unprofessional in his services, or landlords claimed that he owed him money. I confronted him on this, and he said, oh, it's all just alleged. So early April of 2010, he calls me for a meeting, and I meet with him in London, and he's trying to get me to sign a contract. Yeah, he wanted $34,000. He wanted me to finance his documentary. I thought that was very unethical. I think he did too, because in the second page of the contract was, in his own right legal jargon, a fine that if I told anybody, I would have to pay him $10,000. I ran away from that contract really fast when I realized, gee, what's he trying to hide if I'm going to get fined $10,000 if I tell anybody I gave him $34,000? Well, I never would have considered it anyways. So it was all up to his expense to produce this if he wanted to, and to make it financially worth his while. If he made any money off it, I wasn't really interested in it. I was doing this for the family reason, and so that the other side of the story could be told. Money didn't matter to me, so gave him the best offer in the world. He can make 90% and I make 10%. Turned out in the end, he made 90%. I mean 100%. I got 0, but he didn't really make that much money. He probably just covered his expenses. Well, when he met my father for this interview, he found out how frail he was and old, like he's around 78 now. And he wasn't a big part of the documentary, but he had to meet him anyways, because my life is kind of shaped by events that happened with my father while I was growing up. Oh, kitty. You want to star in my video again, Big Teddy? Alrighty. So, back to business. Well, Jason also learned that seeing a frail father like that I was due for an inheritance when he died. Well, he's not dead yet. The inheritance isn't as big as he thought it was, but I never really told him the actual number. So he saw there could be money to be made here. I think his wheels started turning, and if he could get more info on my dad and use that against me, well, then maybe he could extort me, well, at least that's my opinion, for money, so that he doesn't destroy my relationship with my father. So now he started calling me up on the phone and secretly recording me and asking me lots of questions about my dad. Now, I had no idea he was going to later use this on YouTube and then make these incredible demands for money before he used them. And I'll show you his emails so you get to understand the rest of the story, because emails don't lie. I kept a record of everything, and you can see he really went hog wild to the point on YouTube of trying to destroy my family and my daughter and my relationship with everybody else. that even the queen bee hater made a video to try to stop him from destroying even my daughter. Why re-victimize someone twice? So I'll let you read this one of these first early emails he gave me on how the video was to be made, and that he said he was only going to use this one little part about my father. Sure didn't turn out that way when he went on YouTube. So next, a couple months later, he's hitting me up with another option to loan him $30,000. You can read it yourself. And he would pay 10%. He would just use his camera gear as collateral. Well, he only had about $6,000 or $7,000 worth of camera gear. So he has no property. He owns no property. He owned no vehicle at that time. And by what I read on the internet, he owed a bunch of money. So I wasn't going to go for that. He gave some more options. But I knew more about him than he thought I did. Maybe you just want to pause this screen for a moment and read all that stuff if it interests you. Well, shortly after, he had another offer. Now he wanted $40,000 just if I wanted to gain some control of the film. The one thing I didn't like about this whole deal was I had no control of the film, and every time I asked to try to put some input on how to make it better, he wanted me to pay him thousands of dollars as editing costs and professional costs. Now here's an email that I sent him, and I'm talking about him lowering the cost to make the DVD more affordable, because most of the people who are watching me are young, and around $36 for a DVD of someone who's only been heard of on YouTube is awful expensive. And I couldn't convince him to lower the price. I also didn't like the fact that he scheduled the theater date in my hometown, London, Ontario, for the first day of school. That's the last time any parent would allow their young person or any university student or people in school to be able to find time to go to a movie theater and sit down. I mean, I was paying for it, and he said it cost $1,500, and I sent him the money. He said he would give me the receipt for the $1,500 so I could use it as a tax deduction, since my income was generated by making videos and stuff like that. And I kept bugging him for a couple months to come up with a receipt. So finally I got fed up and I contacted the movie theater itself, the IMAX theater in London, Ontario, and talked to a guy I think named by Dale Henderson. And he said that he rented the theater out for $1,000. Well, Jason told me it was $1,500. So I confronted him on that, and now he was saying the extra $500 was professional fees, because I asked him to change a couple little things on the film to make it better. Yeah, we didn't discuss paying any professional fees, nor would he give me a receipt for those professional fees. And I demanded the money back over and over again. He said he wouldn't pay. So you can see the email I sent him in regards to that. And if you want to read it, go ahead. Maybe you want to pause this. Now I really didn't trust him. So I sent him another email on this topic. He was outraged that I had contacted that guy behind his back. Pause this and read this too. So he responds and gives me one more chance to give him money, or he's going to start posting all that bad stuff he had on my dad. So now he wants $20,000, and he's saying it's actually just to buy 51% of the value of my video, even though he's already exhausted all of his DVD sales. So what value does this video have anymore if nobody else wants to buy it? Why is it worth $20,000 for 51%? So he got really mad. If you want to read this, just hold it there. You might want to pause this. So he gave me 48 hours to a certain time to pay him, or else he would try to destroy my family. Well, I wasn't going to pay. So he starts talking about my dad's will and how he might only make $100 from the YouTube ads on the videos he's putting up. And he talks about $150K inheritance, even though it's nowhere that much. He was just guessing. So I guess he kind of thought, well, paying him $20,000 or $40,000 might be worth not losing my inheritance, which he thought was $150,000. Now I'm down to 24 hours to decide what I'm going to do, or else he's going to post all this stuff on YouTube that I dreamed and wished he didn't. So I responded that I wasn't interested in buying half of his movie, and how much could I pay him not to do this to me and my father, as my father was weak and frail and could possibly have a heart attack, and I didn't want to be responsible for my father dying. And he responded, that would be extortion. I'm not interested in that. He just wants me to buy the rights to this movie that nobody else wants to pay for a very high price. Here you see me giving one last attempt to try to find some compassion in this man who really seemed to be conning me now. Because I didn't want to be responsible for my father's death. I wanted to still have a good relationship with him. So I hope you can read that. And he responded, "You will have till tomorrow, Thursday at 5 p.m. to have the money in my account if you'd like to accept our offer of partial ownership." Before he starts airing information about my father. And that's just, to me, my opinion is that's extortion. Now, I'm going to probably have to contact the Windsor police and ask to be a character witness for them in this trial that will be coming up for the woman that claims he sexually assaulted her, because I've got lots of emails to prove what kind of character I believe this person has. So he finally said that, well, he's going to go to my father's house against my will and try to record him and get him to admit things that he could use against him on videotape. Well, I called and warned my father, and anyways, the guy sat by my father's apartment, waited to have someone let him in the apartment, and then met my father at the door, explained who he was, because my dad remembered him when he did a little video cut when he was just talking about myself and my past and said nothing bad. And my father started talking to him for some reason, even though I told him not to. The sad thing is, my father told him, "Do not record any of this or tape this. I don't want to be on YouTube or on TV or recorded." Well, Jason had two cameras, and one was a hidden camera that was something hanging around his neck. And he had it covered for a while, but then once my dad got more comfortable with him, he started recording everything. And against my dad's will, he did post it all on YouTube, and he did make a mockery of my family, and he tried to embarrass everybody and destroy our relationships, and a lot of you people watched it, and I couldn't do anything about it since I was banned on YouTube at that time. And he gloated after that visit with my father. You can read what he said. So I'll post a link and just a video shot of the story that's in the Windsor Star newspaper from June of 2011, where it's alleged that Jason Nassr sexually assaulted this young woman. And you'll get a chance to see what kind of person he really could be, because the police need help. If anybody else has heard of him doing something like this or has been involved, they need more witnesses and help. Something really funny he said is, "Unlike you, I wouldn't be able to put up with or not kill someone who sexually abused my daughter." Gee, don't you think that poor woman was somebody's daughter if he did that? So here's the link. Here's what you'll find. And you can click on this and read the different stories they put in there, where police have been looking for assistance through the Windsor newspaper to get more info on what Jason's been up to. And here's the story. I'll just let you freeze that. Well, freeze this again and keep reading. There's more of it to freeze. And if you can help the Windsor police in any way put this possible sexual assaulter away and get some justice for society after what he did to me and my family, please contact them and help them as best you can. Thank you for watching. Dave's Farm Lives. Haters suck.